My name is Rowena Scherer. I'm the founder of eat2explore. Eat2explore is an award-winning family cooking kit inspiring cultural exploration among families and kids through diverse cuisine and culture. So we provide local favorite recipes and unique spices and sauces, like educational material to learn about the country. We have online material to learn the history and geography and everything about the country. And the fun part is to do it through food.
So, Rowena, I am so happy that you are here because we're going to unpack so much of this. So there's three things that you bring in that to your product that I love so much. So one, I love traveling. I mean, I've hit 6 of the 7 continents. There's not enough time to travel everywhere around the world. I love to learn. And my mom's a chef. So I've been eating very healthy my entire life. And the enjoyment of bad food is great because I was never allowed to have it. So we're going to unpack all of that. But I always say to people, before we get to understand the product or the services or the business, we need to understand who the person is. So who is Rowena? Where are you? Where are you from? Talk to me about your life before you got married and had kids.
Well, that will be a long time. I've been married 27 years. So I am from Malaysia originally. And like you, I have a family that loves to cook. My mom makes sure we, every Sunday, no matter where you are, you're going to come sit and cook and pound those garlic, and then we're going to eat together. So that's kind of how I grew up in Malaysia. Then I went to college in New Zealand. I got a full scholarship, went to New Zealand. And that's my first time out of the country. I came from a small town in Malaysia. Then after New Zealand, when I graduated, I was lucky enough to get a job in Singapore. Then ended up at JP Morgan. So hence my first life of being a banker. And very lucky to actually have an opportunity to work on Wall Street. I'm coming from nowhere. So my story is kind of strange. So I ended up on Wall Street, met my husband literally 2 months after being in New York, and we got married a year later.
Okay, so there's so much.
Wait, one more thing. We got married a year later in City Hall during lunchtime, and then we went back to work, and nobody at work knew that we were married.
Okay, you have given me so much to talk about. All right. Oh, that's a good one. So let me just start at the beginning. How was it? I mean, so you're in a small town in Malaysia. How do you end up in New Zealand? Because there are schools. I mean, what?
Good question.
It's a huge jump. Not only for the fact that it's this different cultural jump, but also why did you choose there? Because you could have chosen anywhere around the world. Why New Zealand? New Zealand's not known to like best.
I agree.
Great schools, but it's like not known.
So two things. Scholarship. But I don't even know better. I never even thought of like US is like never come across my brain. So just about a bit background for historically, Malaysia was occupied by the Dutch, by the Portuguese, by the British. So it's very natural for people go to kind of British colonies. So I've heard of it going to UK, but it's just too expensive. It's unattainable for me. Okay. And then I heard of Australia. I heard of New Zealand. And then, through friends, my parents, I was the first one in my family to go to college, let alone go overseas. So it's like they just said, to ask around. And a few people in my town said, New Zealand has a scholarship, apply. And it did, and I got in. So kind of, out there. I've never been back since I graduated. I love to visit. It's a beautiful country. And when I was there, I just can't wait to get out. Because there's nothing going on. It's like Lord of the Ring town.
So I just finished reading Indra Nooyi from PepsiCo's book. And she talked about how she went from India, and when she was in the United States, it was like, where's the food? Where are the people? It was just like a whole entire, like, I'm going to starve here. And what the hell was I thinking about doing this? So how was it for you when you left your family, now you're the first time ever, going to New Zealand, first in college? How was it for the school aspect, but also just the cultural aspect of the change.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to actually stay with a New Zealand family in my first, I was like 17. And so I stayed there for about 6 to 8 months, I think, and sort of adaptable. And she was an amazing cook. And it was the first time I've ate avocado, the first time I ate kiwi fruit. Like it was like first of everything. And then the funny thing is I was nostalgic about my own country food. So I ended up working as a waitress in an Indonesian restaurant, and then working on the weekend in a dim sum restaurant. So I got to eat my fill of like my own food for free.
You know what? I have to say that's very smart, because as a college student, it's the best way to eat.
Yes.
I was taught two things.
And it's free.
I was taught two things. One, waiting tables when you're in college. And number two, live near a hospital, because hospital cafeterias are dramatically cheaper than any other restaurant or cafe.
Agreed. Find your way around food. Just do whatever you can, even if you have to wait tables.
Even if and my poor feet. But that was my college years, waiting tables. And thank goodness, because my mom was a chef and she had a side catering as well. It was already innate in me. So I go, oh, this is like perfect. Okay, so then you end up in Singapore, which of course, glamorous in so many different ways.
And it's a food mecca. I mean, I'm from Malaysia, so Singapore is natural to go back to. And I was very lucky. I ended up, my first job was in Deloitte. And then within a year, I got a job at JP Morgan. Yeah. And I was also very lucky. The person who hired me was from my college in New Zealand. So sort of know and appreciate what I've been through. And so that I built a career with JP Morgan, and they sent me all over the world. I set up the office in South Korea. I was in Hong Kong. I was in New York. I was in, India. I was like all over. So, and I have this opportunity to come to New York, which it's beyond, my expectation ever. And then now I call this home.
So you keep saying lucky, but I just feel like that your hard work got you to where you were, because there's luck everywhere, but there's a lot of people that don't work hard, and they're like, I'm not that lucky. I'm like, well, you're not working hard.
Right. True. Well, luck is you seek for it, right? Like, I think I'm always constantly looking, and when the opportunity arises, I just take it. I mean, it's risk, but I think there's risk reward. I truly believe that you got to take risks to figure out if there's reward.
100%. Absolutely. 100%. So now you're in New York. Now this is the fun part. You're in New York, okay? And all of a sudden you're like in JP
my
Morgan.
20s at JP Morgan in my 20s. So
and you meet a person at work, which of course you're not supposed to, but you do.
No, he didn't work with me. So we were at a party and we were all analysts, and by the way, he's like 3 years younger, 3.5 years younger than me. So he just graduated, Josh, my love. He just graduated, and it was the summer of his first year analyst program. So we, of course, all the analysts got together, and then the very next day after I met him, I have 2 tickets to the US Open given to me by a managing director who cannot make it. So I'm like, wow, my God, score 2 free tickets to US Open my very first time. That's the tennis. And so what I did, so I called everyone I knew, not that many, but nobody was able to make it. And I called Josh, who I just met the night before. And then, I took him out, and it was our first date.
Wait. Was it a first date, or was it more so like, hey, I have a ticket, do you want to come with me and hang out?
It did, but it turned into a first date. Yes, I know. I move fast. I move fast.
You know what you want, and you go for it.
Exactly. I'm like, this is it. He's cute. He's smart. I have nothing to lose. So let's just do it. So we met. And then we exactly 1 year later, we walk into City Hall.
Oh my God, I love it. So wait, so when did people know? So you go, and at this point, you're probably like, you're glowing, you're kind of giddy. and then you go back to work. How long before people at work know?
Nobody knew. We want to keep it a secret because, well, first of all, my husband is paranoid because he just started, literally his second year of analyst. And he's like, I'm going to get fired if anyone knows that I'm married. I'm not dedicated. He literally said that. He's like, I cannot tell anyone. You cannot tell anyone. And he was sharing a room with like another analyst. It's like, nobody can know about this because I will get fired. He's very serious about his job.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? The funny thing is so I work primarily with small businesses and startups. And in the startup community, a lot of husband wives or wives, husbands, whomever's, but a lot of spouses literally say they're like, they don't tell venture capitalists that they're married because they're like, if they find out we're married, they're not going to invest in our company. So I've heard that so many times. So I get it. I totally understand where he's coming from.
Right. But anyway, so that's kind of our journey. He also, and the funny thing is, he proposed on the phone because I have to go back. So we met. I was only here for 6 months. Then I have to go back to Singapore. And then he proposed on the phone because he missed me so much. And then I always work late. I don't know, literally in the office till like midnight every day. He called me at 9 p.m. and said, I really want you back. Why don't we get married? Why don't we get married? And then you can come back to the States. And then, of course, I said, me, as usual, said, yes. And then you know what he did? He said, I have to call you back.
Wait.
Because.
Wait, what? Yes. Did someone walk in the room?
No. He's like, I'm too young to get married. I have to call my brother. So he called his brother. This is the story of my life. I can write a book about it. It's so funny.
This is the best story ever.
He then hung up on me and called his brother and said, Jeff, I'm 23. Maybe he was 23. He's like, my life is ahead of me, but I found this girl that I really like, and I think I can spend the rest of my life with. And I just proposed to him. What should I do?
And what did well, obviously you guys are married, but what did his brother say?
Of course. Jeff is like, well, first of all, I have met, maybe I haven't met Jeff. He's like, sounds like a great girl. If you have find someone, just take a risk, just do it. And what worse if it doesn't work out, just get a divorce. And so yeah, he's like, okay, I'll call her back.
I am blown away. Like, I mean, like for everyone that's listening, this is like literally when I say it's like this is 8 o'clock in the morning and we are talking and this is like full on the best story ever. Like, what is happening here? Wow.
Life lesson. Take a risk, and you
take
never
a risk.
Know
We can end this right now, and I would say like everyone needs to take risks. Take risks.
Everyone,
take risks.
First lesson. Take risks.
First lesson.
You never see the future if you hide behind the rock.
I like it. I like that a lot. Okay, so now, you're working in the financial realm. You are married. You have 2 children, 2 boys.
A boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl.
No. I didn't have children till 10 years after we married. So this was like way before. So we were married for 10 years before we have children.
You got to enjoy each other. This is one of the things I do love. You got to like really enjoy each other a lot.
Yeah.
I
travel.
So wait,
everywhere.
you are back in Singapore. So
I was back in Singapore. Then I got proposed to, and then I said to my boss, I'm like, I need to go back to New York. And they're like, okay. They found me a job in New York. I came back to New York. And then a year later, Josh have an opportunity to work in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And then I go to my boss again. I'm like, can I go to Hong Kong? They're like, okay, I'll send you to Hong Kong. So Jeffrey Morgan did amazing with me. So I was sent them work in Hong Kong. Well, then listen to this, another funny story. I do take risks, and I always lesson when I tell it to my kid. You never know until you ask. If you don't, the only thing they can tell you is no, and maybe the no you can try again. You just never know until you ask. So
well, you know what happened with that? With you saying that, if your kids get the no and they become fearful of the I don't want to ask them to get the no. It's just like asking like you ask mom, no, you ask mom. I'm like, no, she's gonna say no. So when does a person or how does a person get out of that fear of I'm tired of hearing no's and I just don't want to ask it.
So, what you should do is when they say no, you ask why, which is I always encourage my kids to ask why. Because, and the kids, by the way, they're not stupid. You got to give them respect. If you explain, and I literally have this long chat with my husband, my whole family, we call it the fam group chat. My daughter went on sleepover and we explain why, and he kept pushing and kept pushing. And then both of us just said, that's it. It's just like, we are your parent. We just don't think this is the right time. And then when we got back, she apologized. She's like, I'm so sorry and I understand why. So it's like that why. So I really think you should always, don't just say no. I mean, don't just take no as no. You should to kind of like probe a little bit as to why not, right? And then at some point you got to know that it's a no, then just move on and don't push the button. So I do
love that. I think that the fear of no is like people are just fearful of no. They hear no, they walk away, they get so discouraged. So that's number one. But I do love what you just said.
Especially women.
Especially
women. And they don't even have the courage to ask.
But I love what you just said. It was like, get the no, but ask why.
Yeah.
Because you play that game with yourself. We're like, well, I have no idea what I did if you don't know. And I love how you just said, if you're hearing no, ask why there's a no. I love that.
Right. And I really feel we women kind of first scared to take the risk, scared to ask for more, right? And then because we have fear of failure. Yeah. And by the way, failure is not a bad thing. You just learn from it and move, hopefully rise above it, right?
100%.
So listen to this. So I got to now from Singapore to Hong Kong, New York to Hong Kong. I always want to be an entrepreneur. So, and I thought,
wait, I'm going to pause you. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur because someone in your life, in your family is an entrepreneur? Because some people see it on TV, they read a magazine, they're like, oh my God, I want to be it. And then they realize how hard it is. So where did that come from for you?
So my mom's side, my mom actually worked as a teller in the bank and in my small local town. But my mom's family comes from a very entrepreneurial family. Like it's like 4th generation Chinese that comes to Malaysia. They own grocery stores. They're like wholesalers for rice or whatever. So I think it's like innate in my family that I have this genetic, I don't know. But I always think that I would be an amazing entrepreneur. God knows. So, and then this was back in the 90s, like catalog was a big thing. So I was in the States, there was like lots of catalogs. And I said, you know what? If I ever have a chance, I would like to do a baby product catalogs, like baby clothing catalogs. So I got this opportunity to go to Hong Kong with my husband. And I said, I would love to try working at, clothing manufacturing, baby clothing manufacturing. And when I asked for a transfer to JP Morgan, they gave me a job. And then I said, would you mind if I work half a day? Because I would like to do half a day in this thing. And without they just say yes. So I work half.
Wait, all right. I need to understand this because what kind of water do you walk on that you're going to get JP Morgan to say, sure, part-time, sure, okay. Like, what?
I don't know. They love me. So I was like on a self-training class, but I worked so hard though. Like it's almost like I work full-time. So I was there early at work, and then in the afternoon I go to Kowloon. And I work for this, and I found this lady called Shirley who actually had a baby design company. And then I did that for like maybe 8 months. And then the lady literally wanted to sell me the company. And at that point, I'm like, do I want to take this? And then, of course, Shirley's like, Rowena, even though I know you'll be amazing and you'll take over this, but it's like, why would you take the risk? It's like, you have a good life being in banking and paid really well. And, you're young and you might start a family. And you know what? It was absolutely correct. And it was a really smart advice because I really was only in my 20s and I have not even have a family. And and it's hard. It's hard being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I had this cruisy banking, working with JP Morgan, flying all over the world. Like it's a hard trade-off. And I see that even with my family. You know, my kids who are now teenagers, my son was, taking a gap, not going to college yet. But like they look at me and my husband and I'm like, what do you guys want to do? She's like, banking, duh. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard being an entrepreneur, and I do it second time around, but I love it. So the difference is you got to love what you do, and then it's not really work.
Yeah.
Like I it's not working. I'm like every day it's just like I really enjoy myself. So
I love it. All right, so bring us from banking, marriage, children. Now you have a business. So like, this is your time to like bring us to the point where you have the business.
To the point where I now really start working hard. Banking is so much easier. I had 2 kids, and so I grew up cooking, and I love cooking, and I love traveling like you. I love eating and traveling. And first time I ever go to any country, it's like, what kind of food? Where do I go? What's the market? What is the ingredients? So before I have kids, I did my executive MBA. Mm-hmm. Another thing that you always ask is, I said, I want to do MBA, but I don't want to pay for it. What should I do? So I asked. And then JP Morgan sponsored my 2-year executive MBA. I was working and getting my MBA. And then when I'm done, I'm like, what do? I don't want to have kids yet. So I did a culinary degree. So with French Culinary Institute, every Saturday and Sunday for 8 months, just, cooking French cuisine. And I was like, what is the hardest cuisine? French is hard. And I said, I want to learn. So it's sort of the technique of French cooking. Had so much fun, but I never ever wanted to own a restaurant or be a chef. And people are like, you really love to cook and you're amazing in it. Why don't you, open a restaurant? So that door closed, never have any interest. So dial forward, my kids are now 9 and 11. We were in Thailand doing a cooking class. And I'm still in banking. And they were looking at an onion and they're like, what am I going to do with this onion? I'm like, I call it my onion moment, because I'm like looking at them thinking, oh my God, I'm like such a failure as a mom. I have done everything for them. I cook for them. I make sure they get their homework done. I read to them. I do this, I drive this, I do that. And I never teach them the most basic thing of survival, cooking for themselves, right? They eat, they are very good traveler. They have great taste buds, but they cannot cook themselves. And I'm sort of at that moment where, you kind of have to let go. The kids grow up, you got to let them be independent and take care of themselves. And as growing up, home economics is a thing, right? It's a subject where I learned how to cook and I really enjoy it. I sew and everything, but it's not in our traditional education now. Yeah. Like home economics is not there anymore, but there's so much to learn, math and science and everything. And so I feel like, that's like a missing lesson for my kids to be able to cook for themselves. Mm-hmm. And also that trip, that was my aha moment that, I have done well in my banking career. I really time to look. And at that point I was like mid 40s, it's like 50s coming up, and I still have all this energy. Do I see myself staying in banking and being miserable, because at that point it has become miserable, or just pursue what I really love, which is food, travel, culture, education. So eat2explore was born. The idea was born in Thailand, Koh Samui. So I came back again, risk. I went to my partners and I'm like, you know what? I need a sabbatical. I have this brilliant idea. I really want to pursue it, because if I don't, I'm not going to be happy. So I'm going to take 6 months, starting in a few months in summer, and I'm going to figure it out. And I did, and I've never been back.
And so wait, so how long ago was that?
So that was in 2016. Was it 2016? Yes, 2016. It's been that long, oh my Lord. 2016. And then that's when the idea started. And then if you look back and dial back, 2016 is when you have Blue Apron, HelloFresh, all the meal kit become very popular. Blue Apron actually went public in the summer of 2016. Whole Food was bought by Amazon in 2016. Actually, no, 2017. 2017 is when that happened. So 2016, I had this brilliant idea. Meal kit was amazing. And I said, hey, I've tried all the meal kits. I hated it. Food is terrible. Produce is bad. I at this point love to go to a farmer's market. I know a lot of the farmers in Union Square, in New York. And I said, why not have family eat better and work with the farm to produce like fresh, eat local and everything, and yet learn about different culture and teach the kids about culture. So you have, 1 month is all about Mexico, next month's all about China, next month's blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I have this brilliant idea. That was kind of how it all started. And I did a beta test in 2017, just with friends and family. And the words got out that people outside my friends actually did buy. And I have a incubator kitchen that I prep all the fresh ingredients that I get from the market and from the suppliers, and then, supply. Oh my God, 6 months later, I was burnt out. Like literally dealing with fresh ingredient is just hard.
Wait, you were burnt out. You were burnt out because you were dealing with
fresh food, like fresh chicken, fresh vegetables, and prepping and getting it. And on top of preparing all this materials that go into the box and materials of learning the country, it was just so hard, even though I have at this point would be when I launch about 100 recipes, beautifully printed, ready to go. But it's like the sourcing and delivering all those fresh produce to house to house to house. It's just hard work.
And you were doing everything by yourself at this point.
Yeah, I have one employee and a driver, right? And we're like I'm trying to like build a business, learning how to do this. We are in this kitchen in the Bronx, part of Waco. I just don't see the potential of even building this into a business. Like it's going to be like a mom and pop, and it's just hard and it's expensive, and I'm not sure how I'm going to make money.
Now, wasn't it a mind-blowing moment? So for me, I started my business in 2009 when I'm sitting in my MBA class and I'm told I'm overqualified. We're in a recession. No one's going to hire you. Go live with your capstone. And I'm like, no. The capstone was for a grade. An MBA is to teach you how to propel a business, not how to start a business. So when I walked in, I did not know what I was doing. So for the first 6 years, it was trial and error, a lot of profanity, trial and error, a lot of profanity. And then now, like this past September, we celebrate 12 years. Can't even believe that. So you were in the business world, like not even just like you're in the most essence of, because I would say financial and marketing. Yes, I'm biased on marketing, but financial and marketing, because without those funds, you can't make a company grow. And without the marketing, we're telling someone's story, you can't make a company grow. So I agree. You were in it and you still felt it was hard.
Yeah. And think about it. For me, I'm not going to say money is not a problem. I have built up a fund that I'm not going to go begging and give out my equity to some VC fund because I have this brilliant idea and I want someone to pay for the idea, right? Yeah. I'm self-funding this, and I'm still self-funding this, right? Because I believe, and it's a mission that I really, truly believe. Mm-hmm. So it's hard work because I'm also, look, I have my MBA, I've been to banking, I have been an investor. I know how investment, if I'm an investor, will I invest in myself at this point in this business? And the answer is no. So, then what I did, which I thought was actually really helped me, because I have no experience. I have no good reason to be where I was to even start something, right? So I said, you know what? I think it's a brilliant idea. I want to test it out and go and put myself out there. So I enter the Entrepreneur Challenge at NYU. Mm-hmm. It's called the NYU Entrepreneur Challenge. And I could participate because I actually did my executive at Stern NYU. Okay. So I got through that whole program, got in, it's a 6 months program where you go through your idea, you have mentors, and then you present it, and ultimately, hopefully you win and you get some money from the college.
Yep.
I actually got through to semifinalists,
Okay.
which was actually, I thought was pretty amazing. But that whole process where I talk to people about meal kit, I'm preparing them, like everyone's like, I think you have a brilliant idea about trying to educate and food and, you know, teach and doing all that, but I don't know about the meal kit part. I mean, look at the Wakefern, the IPO is not successful. They're struggling to survive. Like, I don't know if that is the right route. So that whole process made me think. That was in 2017, 2018.
Yep.
So I pivoted after my MBA, after the Entrepreneur Challenge.
Okay.
And it was a shower moment. I always say shower, when you shower, you think about things. And
always.
I was like thinking,
I almost hurt myself. I almost broke my arm falling out of the shower because I used to have a whiteboard in the shower and I was getting up. Again, the best ideas come out of the shower. I went to go right for it and I literally fell out of the shower.
It's so true though. I don't know what it is. Like the hot water, the shower, like you just start thinking. And so this brilliant idea came to me. It's like, okay, I do think the idea makes sense. Eat2explore sounds interesting name. I don't have to change it. It's very straightforward. Eat2explore.
Yep.
And then education is, people are always looking for education. Okay, fresh produce doesn't work. People love my spices. People love my recipe. Why not just make it easy? 3 recipes in each box. All the essential spices that are non-perishables, right? They're non-perishable. It's shelf stable. You add more educational materials and then call it an educational food product, which is what I did. And I re-pivoted the whole thing and we relaunched in October of 2018. I, through friend and family, I actually did a launch party. Again, coincidentally, I picked the Culinary Institute to do the event. Meredith Court, which is the big corporation that actually handle Food and Wine magazine, Travel Leisure magazine, you know, all the magazine was in the same elevator bank. So, and I didn't even know about it, coincidentally. So I have a friend of a friend who helped me out, who actually was a publisher at Travel Leisure. And so he's like, just send it to all these people. So I invite everybody. So we have, you know, editor, the chief editor of Food and Wine came, chief editor of Travel Leisure came. That was in October. In December, we were in New York Times, a small article in New York Times. I can say I was in New York Times.
Doesn't matter, small or big.
Exactly. New York Times. That was in December 2018. And then Eating Well published an article on us in March of 2019. And then 2019 we did decently well, and then COVID hit.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about COVID, but I want to go back a little bit more. I am just 100% with you. Where I remember home ec. I remember it. You could not graduate until you knew how to like do the cooking thing and the sewing thing. I mean, it was just part of everyone. We hated it, but we all had to do it. Same thing with swimming class. It was required that we had swimming classes too. You couldn't graduate to next year, and if you had swimming for 4 years, it was required. It is mind blowing to me how there are young people that don't know how to boil water, let alone how to cook their own meal.
Like basic stuff, which we all hate, and then as we grow up, we're like, "Oh my god,
I need this.
Basic, I need this." Like it is not. It's actually stupid, but it's like just like I don't even know why we take that off our education system.
Yeah, even laundry. Basically, like we were doing laundry, like where every week someone else, like I had, like my dad had laundry one week, my mom had laundry one week, my sister, we all had to do laundry. And like I go, this is gonna clean dad's boxers, but you knew how to do laundry. His tidy whities had to be white, or else he'd like do it again.
I know. Even basic sewing, like you have like something came up a seam, like my kids have no idea what to do. Like what do you do with a needle? And just like my onion aha moment, I'm like, you're looking at this stupid onion. You're like, what do I do with an onion? What do you want me to do? Throw it around? Like peel and dice. That's simple. And so Anyway, I wish that, so which is actually interestingly, we are a big product with homeschoolers. So in 2019, when I basically in 2018, I'm like, you know what, digital marketing. So I'm gonna find a digital marketer who I still have the same digital marketer till today that I hired in September 2018. And so the whole year in 2019 was Facebook marketing. Yep. And that's how schools find us. So we have homeschool families. We are now in several states where the Department of Education pay for our boxes. We send our boxes to homeschoolers. They learn everything about the country through our food, and they kind of, learn everything to it.
I love it. All right. So now we're fast forward. We're in the pandemic. So March 2020, February 2020.
February, March. Yeah.
Because in 2019, you're like excited, brand new decade. We know what we're doing. I've pivoted. I am ready to go. I go, January comes in, brand new year, and then February, the noise happens. March 2020, things start to shut down. By April, we're all shut down all over the world. What was it like for you, for your company, your product, your family, your team?
So let's start with my team, because I'm always, my team is like my family. They really believe in it. So when COVID hit, and funny thing is, literally in March, I was meant to go back to Asia. So I haven't seen my family at this point for 2 years. Actually now 4 years. So I always go back a year and a half. So that March was when we were all meant to go to Malaysia. I'm in fact bringing my really close family friends to introduce them to Asia. And the whole time in December, my sister is like, have you heard of this thing that's happening in Wuhan, in China, that's coming? And we're like, and Josh, my husband, is like, another swine flu. It's just a flu. We'll be fine. And even until February, we were thinking we're going. And then like March, I'm just like, I don't think we should go. So we didn't go, obviously. So we then, we have a weekend place just outside New York, and we literally packed the whole family. We were there since, and my facility is just outside the town. It's just in that town, so it's very easy. So when COVID hit, I make sure all my team is fine. I only have one full-time employee, and Tricia has started with me since 2019. And at that point, we were started growing, and we have one other part-time person. We're like, Stephanie is not coming. That whole space is yours. You keep it clean. And just so you know, the reason I hired her was she used to work for my friend in a cafe. She had a baby. And my friend is like, she's a gem. You have to hire her. I know you're looking for someone. She just have a young baby. And I'm like, it's fine. I have a space. You just have to, build a playpen and have your baby there. And just take care of Remy. Remy grew up in our facility. So when COVID hit, I said, you know what? Business as usual. We don't know what's happening, but that whole space is yours. You keep it clean. No one's touching it. I'm not coming in. I'm going to communicate what you need, and you're going to tell me what we need, and you have that space. Business as usual. So which was the safe thing. We were not big enough where we like Amazon, where you have to have all these people. We only had one, and it was fine, and it was surviving. So another smart thing that happened when I saw what it was a little chaos for the first month. And I told Josh, I'm like, everyone's at home. Everyone is not eating out. Everyone's homeschooling, right? Our product is a gem for them. Like for them, they can't travel. So they can't travel. They're homeschooling. They are cooking at home. This is the best product. So I told my digital marketer and my husband, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go all out. It's like I'm in a poker game. This is where I say I'm going to put all my chip in marketing, bring my brand out there, because people are looking for activities. People are looking for stuff to do. People are looking to cook at home and learn and travel. So I'm like, just spend whatever you can spend, and we are going to fund this marketing effort. And then I reach out, and I'm always here, and I'm like, who's the best, and how can I get it cheap? So I went to, and it was this friend of a friend, and living in New York, you always know a friend of a friend. And this friend of a friend is like the top PR firm for food. they rep Becca PR. They represent Jean Georges. They represent Eric Ripper. They represent all the top Michelin 3-star restaurant chefs and hotels and everything. So it's like top lifestyle food PR firm. Her name is Becca, and it's called Becca PR. So I reached out to her because I said, what do I have to lose? It is COVID. I'm sure all their clients, all restaurants are closing. They are losing business like crazy. So guess what? They took me in as a client at like 5% of what they normally charge, right? And they love my product, and it's kind of something different that they never offer. So they really helped me. I got into a lot more. I ended up working with Wall Street Journal to their members. I got onto New York Times again. I was on Condé Nast magazine. Like, they got me into a lot of places in 2019. So we grew tenfold in 2019. So
all right. So you're
on sales perspective, we're still losing money, and we're still losing money today. It's just hard.
But the thing is, like, so in 2019, you were growing, the visibility. Most people don't have the know-how, the kahunas to ask to get into a top PR firm. Most people have no use for. I mean, I've had great experiences with PR firms. I've had horrific experiences, because there's certain people that I was a press secretary to a governor. I worked in the media. I know what you have to do to get media. I know. I mean, I was on both sides, and it is by far the most frustrating thing for small businesses, because they don't know how to use a PR firm. They don't know the language. They are spending so much money and they're not seeing a lot of return. But you were very lucky to do that. And also, when they do get media, they don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
They have no idea how to scale it.
And I still don't. I'm telling you, I still don't. I have all this exposure, and I'm like, I just don't think I'm milking it as much as I should have. And I still don't, because I don't know. It's never the world I live in.
Well, this is why someone like me comes out, I find you, and I help you milk it too. So like,
Thank you.
And for free of charge, I just like, because you don't know. Well, the thing for me
it's so hard.
Well, when I saw you, I thought it was just so cool, because I've done the whole entire food boxes. I mean, they started, I was busy, I was doing them. And when you open the box and the food is spoiled inside, was a bummer. The recipes, some of them were good, some of them were like not so good. And then you get to the point where, like, I go, you know what? I belong to a farm share. I'd rather just like Google, hey, I have this rutabaga. What do I do with this? And so I enjoy my farm share, because every week I get these things that I have no idea what they are. The farmers are just sending you whatever. And I get to like exercise my brain, which I really do enjoy. But what I love so much more about what you're doing is the fact that the elements of the family coming together and the elements of bringing the world together, which is, I'm first generation born in America. I've always owned a passport. Traveling is part of my DNA. I mean, it's just part of my DNA. There are people that I love, that I've grown up with. They've never left the state. Like, I'm in Massachusetts. They've never left Massachusetts. They don't know any different. And so for you to bring that into their homes, and then it opens them up to like the possibility of like, hey, maybe I really do want to go to Mexico. Maybe I really want to go to Malaysia. Maybe I want to go to Haiti. Well, not Haiti right now. I love my country, but it's a little dangerous right now. But it is opening up their minds. And so that's one of the things that I love, that you brought your two worlds together to bring families together. Where do you feel this is going now? Because you were part of that whole entire box foods before. You saw the pros and the cons. COVID got a lot of people more focused on food scarcity and food nutrition, and the essence of, do I go to a big market, or do I go to that local farmer nearby? Where, because this is your world, where do you see the food industry changing or evolving to in the future? Because COVID's going to be with us for quite some time. I mean, we're living with COVID. Like we are living with polio, like all these things, once they come into the atmosphere, we're now finding ways to live with it, for the better or for the worse. But the food situation is getting harder and harder globally as well as locally. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, we saw the lines of people in Texas, that picture of the lines of people in Texas, like, could not get food. People that are living paycheck to paycheck and can't even find ways to get fresh food. So in regards of what you're doing right now, where do you see the industry? Where do you see the way that food is being produced, and how people are actually engaging with it.
And now, a message from our sponsor. Since 2017, the Foundation for Business Equity has existed to support Black and Latinx-led companies in reaching their full potential by providing access to critical growth tools that include expanded networks, capital, and markets. To learn more about the Foundation for Business Equity, FBE, visit fbequity.org. And now, back to our guest.
So the whole premise of Eat to Explore, it's first and foremost introducing the next generation, and I really want to emphasize the next generation with our kids, to appreciate and connect food and culture, right? So that's a lot to learn and be respectful of other culture, right? And the fun thing is doing it through food and opening up the conversation, okay? And this is, which is the reason why it's a family cooking kit, because parents needs to be involved. I've seen so many parents who are like, well, my kids are too young to make this. I'm like, yeah, it's not meant for just kids. You need to help them, right? It's an opportunity, and you have a small window to have this opportunity to spend with your kids. Make the most of it. So it's a family cooking, and I'll always emphasize that. And then you learn and you cook together, and introduce them to different food groups. And the other thing is, when kids touch something and they participate, the likelihood of them trying it is higher. So I have so many parents who's like, well, my kids are very picky. I'm not sure why, it's very hard for them to want to do this. I'm like, give it a try. Yeah. Have them cut the, potatoes or the zucchinis. And then for the first time, they will be a little yucky, but then they taste it. They're like, oh, this is amazing. I have taught at schools, all third graders, and I make sure it's all vegetables. And they'll be like, what the hell is this? Like, what is, then they're like, oh, this is tasty. This is amazing. This is what it's like when it's cooked. So that's the second thing, is that expand your palate through exposure to different food groups. And eating whole, it's so much more important, because that's healthy. And in talking about scarcity in food, I really think Eat to Explore actually help reducing food waste, because it's a very specific amount, right? You go and you shop. We give you a shopping list. You get the kids to get excited to go and buy all this food and weigh it and get the right quantity, and then make it at home together. So you get them the life skill. They actually know how to buy food and get the food and cook real food. And we also give vegetarian optional. So if you don't want meat, we have vegetarian. It's in the shopping list. So if you don't want a meat option, just cook it with vegetables. And it's actually really delicious. My husband is now vegan for 2 years. It's hard, but you can do it. And I'm a balance. Like, I'll mix it up. Like, I'll have meat, I'll have, more vegetables. But I think the world we live in is, we cannot be eating so much meat from now on. Like, the world is affected by it. Try more vegetable, eat whole food. And so this is like, and being able, if you learn from young how to cook, the likelihood of you to bring home, go to a farmer's market or eat what's local, and use the spice, and then to really enhance it, when you're older, will help the next generation. So
I have to say that I love my junk food, but when I say I love my junk food, and these are the things that are not allowed in my house, because I have no self-control: Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, Oreo cookies, Cheetos, and there's a fourth one I can't remember. But I know myself so much that if I buy them, they're gone that same day. But the fourth thing, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Those are the four.
Oh my God! Yes.
So those are my four, and I know those are my four, because if anyone puts any other junk food near me, I go, not interested. I mean, I know what I love, but I love my fruits and vegetables. I love my seafood. I mean, being a Caribbean kid, I love that stuff. I love that I was taught at a very early age throughout. And like, we would have these decadent Sunday meals, and friends would come over. They're like, why are there so many forks and knives at the table? I'm like, do not say anything. Just follow my lead, because my mother will kick you out of this house. And to this day, people go to my house. They're like, are you kidding me? I'm like, she still does it. I mean, it's like the decadent all the glasses, like the sherry to cleanse your palate. Like, it's just the way that we were raised. My mom's a chef. I mean, it's just, she wanted the best for us. And she didn't want us to forget our culturalness, because the Caribbean food is really, really good as well. So I enjoy going to other countries. And I was always taught, you don't say no, you try it. So that way, next time you say, like, I tried it before, I wasn't a fan, but you can't say no right from the get-go.
Exactly. And you have to teach that among kids when they're young, that don't say no, just try it, and you will develop the palate. So by the way, I forgot to mention, my husband grew up in Africa. So he also have a very different, diverse experience, and he loved African Kenyan food. And so we did have a Kenya box. So it's great because both of us really enjoy just doing any kind of food. And then we're lucky enough in New York City to go anywhere and try different food.
Exactly. You can get everything. What's the age group for the boxes?
So ideally I would say 5 up. But we have a lot of teenagers. We even have adults that just buy it because they love to cook. And one thing I forgot to mention. So during COVID, so in our box originally it's the 3 recipes, a country brochure that talks about a celebration, and activity sheets, and then fun cooking tools. And then when COVID hit, I said, look, there are more and more people homeschooling.
Yeah.
So I reached out to a few educators. I said, you know what? Let's work on a lesson plan so that they can learn different subjects without boxes. But it's actually an online thing. So we can't put them in the box. So you can then access what we call lesson plans, so that on Monday you can learn history, on Tuesday geography, where there's hyperlinks to books. It's like one page, so there's links to virtual museum. There's link to YouTube videos on how to learn the language. I mean, that's the thing, is technology is available to us.
Yeah.
We just need to make it easy access. And I've hired someone to do the research, so parents can just say, all right, I'm doing Morocco. So I'm cooking the food. Then I'm going to get my kids to go online to this page to then say, oh, let's play the Moroccan music. Let's learn how to do the language and what is the history of Morocco. So then everything is available to them, not just the food. So we have like a 5-day lesson plan of every country.
I mean, I love it. So I love it. Not only for the lesson of the location, but so January 2020, I was in Morocco. I bought a tagine, and I love cooking with it because it's just so cool to do.
Yeah.
But even just bringing back the memory. So there's a older generation that they don't travel anymore, not because of COVID, because they just can't travel anymore. But these would bring back their memories for them.
Right. Well, listen to this. I have a grandmother who was so happy and sent us a beautiful note. And I still do my customer service because I love to hear stories. She's like, I just want to thank you. I was an exchange student in Nairobi so many years ago. And then I found your box. And now I actually sat down with my grandchildren and we cooked together. And I told her my stories when I was in Kenya.
Love it.
And it just like, and she's like, by the way, everything was perfect. It was exactly how I remembered it. And all the history, all the content was exactly right. And so it was like, okay, check the box.
See, and so I like that because when I travel, I choose not to, I'll buy the book of where to go, but I don't open it until after I'm leaving. So I read it when I'm on the plane coming home, and everyone's like, why do you do that? I go, because that book, my dad always said to me, you don't know what kind of the mood the person was in when they wrote the book. So you could have gone to a restaurant and given them a bad rating because you had a bad day, not because it was a bad place, not all the time. So for me, I want to ask the people, if I'm going, I travel off season. I want to ask the people that I'm there, where should I go? And then when I come back, now I have my own experience and I'm reading yours. I'm like, oh, I should have gone there. Oh, yes, I agree with this, etc. So I love your box where it opens the brain to actually be stimulated into a whole new thing, which is awesome.
Which is actually kind of an area we're looking into next year, is travel, because I think our boxes would be a great experience before you go to the country.
Yes.
Learn, okay, you're going to make this big trip to Morocco. Just take a box, learn about the food, learn about the history, learn about, whatever. And then you go to the country. So you really appreciate it a little bit more. And then you can say, oh, oh no, I like tagine. Oh, this tagine is so different, and why is it different? So that's I feel like, that is a big area that we haven't even touched. Is like before you make a trip, that this could be a great box to have to learn about the country.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. All right, so I have 2 more questions for you before we go. Number 1 is, what did you for yourself learn during the pandemic? I mean, so you had your family, you had your team, you had your business, you had yourself, and the world, not just like, it wasn't like the recession of 2009, 2008, 2009, when it was like certain people, certain countries, the world was shut down. It's something epic. Hopefully we never, knock on wood, we don't see this ever again. What was it like for you? I shouldn't say what was it like for you, but what did you add to your life that you have never thought about adding to your life because you had the abundance of time?
The funny thing is I ended up have 0 time because the business suddenly exploded, right? Mm-hmm. But in my mind is always safety, because I don't want my family to have COVID. I don't want my team to have COVID. Mm-hmm. So as soon as vaccine is available, I'm like, that's all I got. Yep. It's like, but and I think I overworked. And so like going into 2021, I still overwork, but I make sure that I need a break. Like I need to go out. Like literally 2020 to me was like Groundhog Day. I wake up in my sweats. I will sleep in my sweats. I wake up again in my sweats. It's like Groundhog Day. It's like every day I just work. And it was hard personally because I have 2 teenagers. Yeah. It's tough for them. And my son ended up this year. He's a senior. He's just not ready for college. I'm like, you know what? COVID was hard for you. And you know what? You don't need to go to college yet. Just go travel. So he's now going to work all over the world. I said, you can go anywhere and work. I'll find you something. Yep. And then when you're ready, you go to college. But it's hard.
I'm a big fan of audit years anyway. I mean, like I did the same exact thing. And so I'm a big fan. And education is with you throughout your entire life.
Exactly. And I basically said, finish high school at your best. Yeah. Best in your own sense. Like high school is important. College can wait, but finish high school. Yeah. Right. So so that was kind of our struggle this year with him, and now we're all good. And so 2020 was crazy with COVID, and personally it was Groundhog Day. That's my only word. Every day was Groundhog Day.
I'll take that because I will take that because that is one of those moments where it was like go. And I feel like small businesses work double time because we had no choice. We really had no choice. Yeah. All right, all right. One, I just want you to be my best friend because you're awesome. Like you're in person. No, honestly. Well, the good thing is I live in Massachusetts, and I do this often where if I'm in the mood to do something, I just get in my car and just drive to New York for the day. And everyone's like, what do you mean you go for the day? I'm like, it's only 4.5 hours. It's like, I'm sorry, 3.5 hours the way I drive.
It's true.
Yeah. So I go for the day all the time. And so I would love to really in January, I plan on doing that a lot, where I just want to go and just come and hang out and talk and coffee talk. So that's my promise to you in January, because
I will take you to my favorite local hole in the wall. So that's another, any country you want to always know the hole in the wall restaurants. So that's a promise. So let me know when you're here.
Because there's only 2 people that I've made an absolute promise. So I just interviewed a gentleman from Iceland. And I told him, I'm like, because he does tours in caves, because talk about sustainability and how he grew up in Iceland and there was ice. It was ice, and he's like, because the Iceland that I grew up in and the Iceland now, dramatically different.
Totally different. Yeah.
So he's teaching a lot of individuals in regards of this is what we're dealing with right now, and it's affecting the globe. So let's just really start talking about it. So I promised him that I would come and visit the caves because literally it is the most spectacular. The pictures were just so mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it's a direct shot from New York and a direct shot from Boston.
Oh, another ask. Actually, you did ask for ask. I will save my ask later.
Okay, well then this is the time. This is the time. So I go we end. We will always end, no matter how many times we talk, because we will talk again. Because I love your energy, and you crack me up. But the final ask is, so if you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that's listening to you right now, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask? And literally, before you say that, I'm telling you right now, I'm buying your boxes. So I leave for the holidays this week, but I'm buying, no, because I love these things. This is what makes me happy, and it shouldn't just be catered. So I'm telling you right now, you should approach AARP because they would be a great market because those grandparents want to be with their grandkids. AARP, they start at 50. I'm 52, and I'm like, and I have a card that I don't even know what to do with, but whatever. But you should go to them.
I did try. They're very expensive to market with. Very expensive.
Bummer.
I know, bummer.
We were get your PR person to get your PR person to get a story with them.
We have been trying. We have been trying. Really? I know. AARP is hard. Well, that's AARP.
We're I'm going to tag the crap out of AARP on this podcast.
We're perfect for grandparents, and grandparents love buying it and then cooking and connecting with their grandchildren. I know. It is such a valuable thing.
And grandparents, like during the season when people are traveling, guess what? Like they're like, I go, best time to travel is January because everyone's at home. Grandparents are not at home; they're traveling because they can.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
All right.
AARP, we tried. So
your personal ask and your professional ask.
My personal ask is that's a little hard. Tell me where to travel next. I have been a lot of places I love to hear, and I really, now that world is opening up again and I do have kind of low season, I am determined to explore and have a local guide to show me, and I connect me with that Iceland hiking person. Yep. So I would love to go there, and that's my personal ask, to like expand my world knowledge through someone who's passionate about their own country. So
that's your personal. What's your professional?
My professional ask, something similar. Like as we add 2 new countries every year, and as I grow with more and more countries, I like to work with local chefs and local experts. Like for my South Korea one, I work with a South Korean woman chef that came from South Korea, work in New York City. So the 3 recipes is in collaboration with her. My Kenya box was with a local chef in a safari we went to. And then I was meant to work with the Peruvian one that didn't work out because of the pandemic. I was meant to work with someone. And then my Sweden one was with my Swedish friend's home chef, who's an amazing chef. And then we have 2 countries, and one that you will love. I don't have Haiti yet, but I have Jamaica. And I am going to work with Chef Andre Flores, who is a 2-time Master Chef champion, a New York. He has a restaurant in Harlem, Jamaican origin and Jamaican food. So we're gonna do Jamaican food next year. So I would love, tell me what you could share, and from business connection ask is, I want to work with local chefs. So if you have great country you want to and you so talk to me.
All right,
you can email me at rscherer@eat2explore.com.
Okay, so this is good because I have many people I'm going to connect you to, so I will send you, so I'm doing a lot of interviews today, but at the end of the day you're going to get an email of just introductions, because the good thing about this is that I've now I'm at 188 20 months, 188 interviews in 23 countries. Thank you. Because, well, this is so important to me. And again, I get to crack up with you guys. This is fun. So much fun. But I mean, I think there's a lot of people that automatically I could just like pair you up with. They're awesome. I mean, everyone that's been on this podcast, amazingly awesome. And Sarah Gowen, she's one of the individuals I interviewed. She's like number 12 or 13. She travels around the world, and she like basically she designs travel tours for entrepreneurs and innovators around the world. And so she travels all the time. And during the pandemic, she's been very creative in regards of how. So she's another person that I think she would be amazing. She's like a badass. Yeah.
That's awesome. I would love that. That. Yeah.
Yay.
So
Rowena, it was an absolute pleasure, my friend. It was amazing. And I will see you in January. That is a promise.
Yes.
I will see you in January, and we will continue what's going on. But this was delightful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jodi.
Have a wonderful day, and you'll see my email later on today.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, gorgeous people, so glad you are with me today. I'm so proud to announce my partnership with an incredible company. eat2explore is the company that created these award-winning food and culture explore boxes that promotes family time and cultural explorations through cooking together. As a family, you will be able to explore countries, cultures, and cuisine, and it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Get your membership today or just get your first box to try to have fun while creating these great meals. As a kid, I enjoy learning new skills and how to cook new foods and develop new tastes. And to make this perfect exploring cooking box, you will also get so much information on these sheets about the country you are exploring. Every month you can explore a different place without traveling in the comfort of your own kitchen. Can't wait, let's go. Let's open this box. We are celebrating the country of Peru today. But first, a quick glance on the outside. It features a cute map showing typical foods of different countries. eat2explore is all about explore the world in your kitchen. Go on their website now, www.eat2explore.com, to go get your first box. Link in the description box down below. Also, follow them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Let's open. The first thing I see are 3 recipes and 2 sheets with the country information. You also get a fun cooking tool. I got a cool slicer, a pin with Peru's flag, 2 sauces, and 2 mixes, a sticker with the company's logo, and a shopping list. How adorable! As I told you, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Pick a recipe, shop ingredients, and start cooking. Let's go. For you or supervise you. I got my production here watching me. Hashtag be safe. Second step, I'm going to slice my tomato in half and then I'm going to take out the seeds. Now I'm going to slice it into 1/4 strips. Now I'm going to cut my bell pepper in half and I'm going to cut it into 1/4 strips. I'm slicing my potatoes now to bake them. Now that I finished cutting my potatoes, I'm going to coat them in oil so they can bake. I'm ready to cook my meat now, ready to stir fry. Okay. Now you're going to set your meat aside. Now I'm going to saute my bell peppers and onions in the meat juice. Let's talk a little bit about Peru. Peru is the 3rd largest country in South America. The capital is Lima and has a population around 31 million people. The official language is Spanish. One of the most ancient and historical sites is in Peru. The famous city of Machu Picchu is now one of the 7 wonders of the world. Also, did you know that there are now more than 3,000 kinds of potatoes grown on Peruvian terrain? Do you want to explore more of this incredible and beautiful country? Join the Family Dinner Club at eat2explore.